Over the past decade, teens have reported a dramatic increase in mental health challenges, experiences of violence, and suicidal thoughts and behaviors. Teen girls have fared worse than teen boys across almost all factors. That's according to the CDC. To help teen girls explore their voices and become empowered, the She Said Project launched a youth program called That's What Teens Say. It recently expanded to Bloomington-Normal. A new group of local What Teens Say participants spent a recent weekend finding their story and then sharing it with an audience. WGLT student reporter Emily Bollinger has the story and a warning that this story includes references to suicide, self-harm, and sexual violence.
The Bloomington-Normal participants were all 13 to 18 years old. They spent 3 days working on confidence building, public speaking, and getting comfortable sharing their stories. On the final day of the program, the 7 girls read their stories aloud to an audience of friends and family members at the Heartland Theater.
We heard some of those girls talk about they went through trauma year after year after year, and no one heard them and no one saw them, and they kept everything inside.
That's Jurczyk Jurczyk, National Director of the Champaign-based She Said Project, which hosts live events in which women tell their stories to an audience. One of the What Teens Say participants was 17-year-old Bloomington High School student Kamara Bowie. I asked Bowie about the most challenging part of the experience.
For me, I think it was speaking about my assault and just a lot of the things I went through as a young teen. Just because I was so young, it was hard to endure, and it's still hard to talk about.
Here is Bowie reading part of her story during Sunday's performance.
During my junior year, my ex-boyfriend reemerged and robbed me of whatever I had left of my youth. He assaulted me. While it is so very hard to talk about, I am realizing that I need to start saying it out loud. The option of keeping it bottled up is no longer.
According to Jurczyk, she helps direct the girls in finding their story and craft it into a performance piece, but the story development is all on them.
So we all know that guilt and shame flourish in darkness. We find that when you create a safe space for girls to explore topics that are important to them, they're willing to go there. They have a lot of stuff they want to talk about.
In 2023, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that nearly 1 in 5 teen girls experienced sexual violence in the past year. The CDC also reported that nearly 1 in 3 teen girls seriously considered attempting suicide.
They were struggling, and we're noticing more and more how many teen girls have lived through trauma and depression and anxiety. These are topics that are coming up again and again and again. And for many years, no one was talking about them. These were very taboo subjects.
13-year-old What Teens Say participant Harmony Taylor says some girls her age do not have a voice.
They don't know if they can just come out and just talk to people about it because they don't know if the people are going to listen.
For her final performance on stage, Taylor shared stories of being bullied, getting suspended, going through the Department of Children and Family Services, and harming herself.
I was really upset. I ended up cutting myself. I was crying and could not feel anything. I was depressed. I was mad, sad, and angry. I didn't know how to feel, and nobody knew how unhappy I was with my life. What made me feel worse is that I didn't know how to talk to people about it. I thought that if I was to tell somebody how I felt, it would be embarrassing and they would think I was crazy.
Another participant, 16-year-old Paige Roser, says she was really nervous to share her own story, but she was excited to go up on stage and show people who she really is.
I feel like whenever I hear somebody else's story, it really helps me get through mine and know that I am strong enough.
Here is part of Roser's story.
Sometimes when depression hits, it's so hard that not being here on this earth seemed like the only option. When depression hit me, it felt like that. I felt so hopeless. I remember needing help so badly, but my words were taken by my depression. Exactly 2 weeks after returning from my last inpatient visit, I overdosed, falling asleep shortly after and being woken up by my mom and taken to the ER.
Participant Kamara Bowie says she worked on telling her story in a comfortable way, finding the right words and courage to do so.
I really had to dig deep inside myself and collect it all together to bring it together.
Organizer Jurczyk Jurczyk says she's coached over 160 teen girls through That's What Teens Say.
Women have something to say, the timing is right, and we want to be a platform for women to have a microphone. That's the goal.
Information about upcoming That's What Teens Say events and how to bring the curriculum to communities can be found on the group's website, that'swhatteensay.com. I'm Emily Bollinger.
If you or someone you know may be considering suicide or is in crisis, call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.